Hi, we're continuing our discussion of happiness and how to get there, how to stay there, what it is and what it isn't. All this will come up. And happiness isn't a punch list. It's not like uh, you get it down and then, you just hit these sort of items, on your, sort of matrix, your critical path method chart, and you can stay happy. That's not what it is. Happiness is dynamic. The state of happiness is dynamic because I and you, we are dynamic. So stasis or being static is going to be a source of unhappiness, even if it's happy. It's the people that let's say move to Florida, they retire. It's this sad, interesting story of like spending your life, you're on this carousel and you see the gold ring, you see the silver and the bronze, but you see the gold ring, and you're going round and round this carousel, and you're on your little pony and you're going up and down. This is a metaphor for life, by the way. You're going up and down in your little pony, your ups and downs, but you've got your eye on the prize. You got your eye on the gold ring. And you sit there and you just strive and you strive and you strive, and you're in the carousel thing, and they said, yes, this one's gold, this one's silver, this one's bronze. You reach out, you go round and round on your trip, and you reach out, you reach out, you reach out. And finally, even at the risk of falling off your little plastic horse, you grab that ring and, I've got it. I've got the ring. This is the vacation home in Florida that you finally move there. It's finally, I live in Maui, it's fantastic, or the Mediterranean, or I control half the world. Whatever your gold ring is, you finally have that gold ring, and you look at, and you go, I don't know, break it open, or you look at it and you go, it's plated, or worse yet, it's gold plastic. And it leads to a sense of self, it can be a spiral down where you go, what? I went through my whole life going for the gold ring. And I got the gold ring. Isn't that good? And you do this kind of a number, and yes, yeah, you did it. You got the gold ring, but doesn't do much for me. I mean, it was good for, I don't mean to, it gets into the religious tripping.
With an oath on their lips and muscles in their arms, but men with greed in their hearts, ready to break their backs, to sell their very souls for gold.
Today, what we're doing is we're going to explore this out of the 7 steps. It's the first one, which is to develop a relationship with the infinite, something much, much larger than I am, something grand and great, not necessarily glorious. Obviously, the rutted road of language leads us to say, oh man, he's talking about God. Maybe, maybe not. I'm not talking about God. In fact, the discussion about God can be a rutted road. You have so many ideas. Anything that you have a lot of clear ideas about end up being a rutted road. That you have, and now all of these things are supposed to, by definition, be happiness. And you look at them and they're all, in a sense, all of them, however well-intended, however beautiful, however fantastic they are as things to strive for, however heroic my task of going to them and all this kind of thing. These things all will ultimately end up being gold rings that turned out to be kind of plastic or plated or generally unsatisfying somehow. And today we're dealing with a relationship with the infinite. All of these, like I said, the key word here is dynamic. Why? Because I'm dynamic, meaning I'm changing. Since I'm changing, happiness is changing. Pain is changing. Relax into this sense that it's not all on your shoulders. It's not on my shoulders. It's not on our shoulders. It's not a matter of teamwork. It's not a matter of heroic self-effort. I'm connected to something very, very large. Happiness is going to happen right now and immediate. Again, let me get away from all this spiritual tripping stuff. It really, to be honest with you, I'm not kidding, even though I'm talking the talk, it bugs me. The spiritual tripping aspect of these topics bugs me because they all act as memes that grab our mind. I'm going to meditate. I got my cushion.
You're so dumb you don't even see the riches you're treading on with your own feet.
Back, so step back. This is this space, the ground zero, getting space. Step back and recognize the profound relationship that is not understood at all between your will, your volition, just right now, my desire to express words. Who's choosing the words? I mean, we can talk about Broca's area of the brain where the language resides. We can talk about learning. We can talk about acculturalization. But we don't know where our next word is going to come from. And in fact, there have been scientific studies that show that a couple of things. One is that, let's say I move my finger like this, I do this. They find that the neural response, what they can measure as a neural response on this motion or this word that I say, is after the motion. In other words, this isn't sent from the brain. Do you understand? Let's think about this for a second. The messages that I'm sending out to my hand, this hand motion thing, I can try to explain it away, whatever, but it is such a miraculous and powerful thing. Just these simple motions, whatever they are, standing up, having the balance to move, the ability to express yourself. If science could build one of us, I mean, really build it. If science could build the smallest things that a human can do in terms of cognition, in terms of memory, in terms of simple motions, in terms of the alchemy of eating and translating that into other things, it would make CERN, the collider accelerator, it would make that look like a bubblegum machine or less, not even a piece of bubblegum. It would be so ridiculously small compared to the phenomenal, tremendous, inconceivable creation that your average, even low-functioning human being is. Sit with it. This is touching the infinite. We're trying to touch the infinite. I'm not trying to give you like a list of, the joys and gratitudes of having a human body, even though you can definitely go there. I want to create a sense that I'm nested. I'm nested in this largesse that I didn't do anything to get. I didn't ask for it. It just came all on its own, and it's here. So let's touch it. Let's absorb this for a second. That I'm a part of this intelligence that really runs through me. And, it's not like, okay, let's go back to the brilliance, the alchemical marvel. Yeah, maybe there is a processing unit in your DNA or in your brain that says you're going to eat this hamburger and you're going to translate it into hair and fingernails. Maybe. I got a feeling what the situation is, and there's going to be no proof for this, right? But it's the only way you can explain it. And there are some people who think this way, that we're in an intelligent ether. We're in an intelligent fluid. I'm like a fish I'm like a fish swimming in this intelligent fluid, and it's infusing all of my cells and all of my body, this intelligence. And it's not just like a brain without a feeling or something like that. It's engaged with us. My thoughts, emotions, whether positive or negative, my thoughts, emotions, all my creative possibilities are implicit, inherent, latent in this field, of which my body is like an arbitrary sponge with a particular DNA structure. It's a sponge that just is lowered into this intelligence and then functions. It functions in it. You see? So I'm nested in this intelligent world. So there have been studies that show, let's say if two people are talking, like I'm doing this, I'm moving my hands as I mentioned, I'm moving, and if I were in conversation with you, and you would have a blink or a hand motion or an adjusting of posture, it is perfectly orchestrated with my movements. When we are in sync with each other, when we are synchronous with one another in conversation, in thought, in feeling, whether it's anger or love or whatever it is. I mean, boredom, that's another matter. You're not there. You don't really care. You're not participating with a person. But if I'm in there engaged in any kind of emotional and feeling way, this dance that we do together is simultaneous.
Hello. How are you today? Are you yabba? You got bubbles. You got bubbles. Here. Hello. Did we wake you up? We put you in the car and you fell asleep. And then we got here, yeah. And we woke you up. Oh, really? Oh. Really? Are you sure? Oh my goodness.
Just watch the baby. Watch his head turn to the left, his feet go, his right hand moves, the middle finger of his left hand moves, his mouth opens, right? All those parts of the baby move from second 4 to 5. Now watch the mother in the same second, 4 to 5. She does a mock surprise. Mock surprise. Now watch them together. See how they both change together? As she does the mock surprise, the baby's head moves and whole body moves. Now 5 to 6. 5 to 6, watch the baby reorients, and the mother sort of plays with her mock surprise face. 6 to 6:20, they're both smiling together, the heads go up, they smile more, baby's hands move, feet move, all the parts of the baby's body go with the mother's movement.
It's not cause and effect. When people walk down the street, you got a 4'2" woman and an 8'6" man, and they're walking down the street together, you're going to see the rhythm of their steps synchronize. You're going to see the rhythm of their steps synchronize. They're in this fluid medium. They're communicating with one another. They're docking. They're linking up. And the body rhythms link together. This implies this largeness that we're a part of, that is at one time, all at once, it's a resource, it's a friend, and it's a helper, and it's worth it to be aware that that's the kind of world we are born into, that we have this available. Now, once I say that, there's also the part after this. It's necessary. You can't take my word for it, and that's the deal with this. You can't like take my word that this is the case, that I'm in this friendly medium, and that it's kind of like this religious testimony that this is the world we're in, and it's simultaneous, and all that kind of stuff. That's all just a bunch of words from me. But you do have available to you, as I do, I make it a regular practice to test this field. One practice I do, one thing I do is I'll say, if it goes down this way, whatever the situation is, if it goes down this way, in other words, to my benefit, I identify the proverbial train wreck coming. I identify that things are not going to go my way. I identify that it's going to be a disaster. Somebody can say, Phil, you think too negative. You're disasterizing. But whatever it is, you think this way, and I'll say to myself afterwards, okay, I think I'm going to get hammered. Let's say, the typical thing in the old days was I was scheduled. I would have, like, let's say 30 drawings to do, and in a week or 2 weeks, and I'd say, no way. Okay, there's no way to do this. Now, a wise person or a practical person would say, sorry, Jones, and Jones, I can't do your work this week because I got too much stuff, I'm slammed. I never ever did that. I said, okay, it's coming in. That's part of this world. It's coming at me. Let it come. Let it come at me. Let it come at me. And then I say, I can't get this stuff done. So let me witness, let me see the intelligence of this. The intelligence takes the form of, do I have the energy to address the challenge or the situation? Will the situation adjust itself around what's physically, energetically possible for me to accomplish? And always, long story short, what would happen is some people would cancel, some people would change the scope, some schedules would extend out. I never dropped the ball. I never dropped the ball, not one time, no matter what crazy overextension I was in. This is a proof of something going on that I don't quite understand. I don't get it, and I can't get it. That goes into other things. Science might say, X, Y, Z, down the road, we will understand. We will get it. I'm afraid they won't. They won't, because it's a transcendent aspect of reality. It's a transcendent. It's far too large for us to ever understand it. It's like, take Super Mario. Super Mario in the game, no matter how hard Super Mario tries, he will never have the tools. He will never have the programming. He will never be able to understand who programmed that game. He will never, ever get it. He won't get it. Let's say the Super Mario game, by way of metaphor or analogy, the Super Mario game is in fact an accident. Okay, it just happened. A bunch of digits and stuff came together in the world of programming. Let's say this happens in Silicon Valley or someplace in San Francisco, in the Presidio area, and you've got this thing that just an accident. They wake up one morning and go, holy cow, now we got this game called Super Mario Brothers. It astounding. Where did this thing come from? And so now we have science, and we're going to understand the source of Super Mario Brothers. We're going to go back and back and back. Do you understand the absurdity of this? Whether Super Mario Brothers is an accident or whether Super Mario Brothers was created by a programmer in Silicon Valley or in China or in India or wherever, or pieces that came together, who cares? It's beyond me. I am Mario or one of his characters, and I cannot get it. It's not mine to understand. And it's not defeatism. Do you understand? It's not defeatism to just accept that I, as Mario in this thing, can't understand the mind of whatever force, programmer, whether it's random chance or what. I can't get it. Touch that. And notice that I'm in a game. There are prizes. There are gold rings that end up being plastic. Then there's gold rings that end up being gold. There's bronze rings that you can't reach, or there's bronze rings that you get and they make it might as well be gold. Think about the program. This is an incredible situation we're in, where this stuff comes from. We don't know why Tesla, Tesla said he didn't even understand why electricity can move over airwaves. I think Tesla gave the idea that it's an ether. Let's forget the metaphysics, the physics, the science. Forget it. Tesla said, I don't get it. Einstein said, I don't get it. Thomas Aquinas said, I don't get it. Why? Let's start putting it together. Because you can't. That's the deal. So, if you go through the idea that your relationship with this world is, I'm going to do a word game here, indefinite. Indefinite. That means someday we'll find out. Someday we'll get there. Someday we'll understand. Well, let's take the D-E. Take the D out of indefinite. What do you have? Finite, infinite. Take a D out of indefinite, and you've got infinite. This is what this is about. For myself, I checked myself. Am I living in a world where there's an indefinite nature? How's it going to go? How's it going to turn out? This is where science comes in. We'll tell you. We'll figure it out. We'll do some lab tests, and we'll figure out where it's going to go. So you're in this time. You're trapped in time. You're constricted in time. You're compressed by time. You're compressed by the unfolding of events. So let's let go of that. Get rid of the indefinite aspect and just say it's infinite, meaning it's beyond me. It doesn't mean that you don't become a scientist and try to figure out why these things happen.
I mean, isn't there just as much reality to be perceived in the cigar store as there is on Mount Everest? I mean, what do you think? You see, I think that not only is there nothing more real about Mount Everest, I think there's nothing that different in a certain way. I mean, because reality is uniform in a way.
So this idea of touching the infinite is the idea is to join me somehow to a larger intelligence, so that I'm not so alone in whatever my situation is. And if I have that kind of an ally of infinity, an ally of infinite space, but it's not just space. It's not the cold reaches of space. So let's get on to that. It's not just space. It's intelligent. You can ascribe to the quality of caring. You can ascribe, for sure, intelligence, and it's not bounded by time or space. In other words, it's not really affected by my distance physically between me and whatever my issue is that blocks happiness. And it's not affected by the time that might affect me in terms of my happiness. And that could have to do with various experiences I went through in early childhood. It could have to do with a family legacy of some kind that goes back in the past, the old country kind of a thing. This space is transcendent of all of these kinds of issues. Now I know it's not, but it's not a genie. In other words, you don't rub the lamp and it just happens. It's an intelligence that requires relationship. In fact, relationship is another word for what they call in other circles, yoga, the yoking of two things together. And the things we're yoking together is my small self and all of the vulnerability that implies, and this largeness. And are we just making it up? No, that's what the video I'm trying to say is that if you test it, you'd form relationship to it. It's the heavy, it's the superior, we're the light one, we're the inferior to this thing. So you approach it not as though it's a dumb partner. You approach it as it's a very, very intelligent partner. You've seen the science fiction movies where this superior intelligence with all this technology, but it really comes across as fairly stupid or inert because the people who are talking to it can't figure out what its language is. And And it's not just a matter that it requires me to understand it in language. It has to do with me understanding myself. It's a strange fractal relationship. Fractal meaning every small piece is a reflection or a model of some sort of the greater whole. You know, it's out of chaos theory, the thing called chaos theory, that the reason they could in the old days predict weather with amazing accuracy, of course that's over now, another issue, but the reason they could was because they understood the fractal movements of the air currents and ocean currents and all this stuff, and that stuff could be programmed in computers and whatnot, modeled out, and it gave them very, very good results on what was going to happen next. So in any case, this thing is intelligent, and since I'm a fractal aspect of this, it's a matter of me getting to know myself. And the more I get to know myself, that has to do with this self-honesty. That's step 6, key 6, is self-honesty. And and that's a process of, again, understanding my tools, which is step 7. I understand my tools, and I develop those tools not to become a better thing. It's to improve my communication with this field of intelligence that really functions as love. There, I said it. I want to stay away from it, but and we have to understand what love is. All of our language is so tortured. Love is more like gravity. I mean, I've thought this one out quite a bit. Love is more like a quality that's like gravity. In other words, there's no real choice there. It's physics. And when there is love there's an attachment and a union that can't be broken. And it's reflected in what we call gravitational pull. There's nothing you can do about it. There's nobody can get rid of it. And we also, again, don't understand what gravity is. So look for the next video, and it's going to be on grabbing an ear is what I'm calling it. Grab an ear, which means find someone, anyone to talk to. And in that realm, food for thought, spoiler alert, is that in that realm, whose ear am I grabbing? Well, in an infinite field, I can only grab, in a sense, my own ear. Now, it might look like another person, but it's going to be my own ear. Thank you very much, and please look for the next one. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate comments. Thanks.